Hello and welcome to CLEA'S World. I am Clea, and today I would like to share with you more the information I received from the 25th dimension during my last BQH hypnosis session. I'll be reading from a transcript of questions I have prepared in advance of the session, and the person who is going to be asking me the questions, the practitioner, is Lorrayne. And when I refer to me, I'm talking to myself under hypnosis, which means that the answers are coming from the 25th dimension. Before I jump in, I want to thank you as always for subscribing, liking, and commenting on this video. I really appreciate it, and I love reading your comments. So please keep on coming. All right, very good. So I'm going to start here. Lorrayne, has anything in the multiverse changed because of the new impulse or because of the fact that we are learning to become Neo? Me. Yes, so we've already said, and we've shown visions to Clea as well, of the fact that in the multiverse, people, because of the new impulse, the entire game is being re-energized, and people are very happy. And now we want to qualify the statement. When we say happy, it doesn't mean, think of it from a 3D perspective. It doesn't mean every day is wonderful and everything all of a sudden is transformed. No more darkness. The point of the game is to have the balance of dark and light. We have demonized darkness here. Darkness does not have to look the way it has looked here. So every planet within the matrix experiences the polarity, which means they have darkness. So when we say happy, we mean more energetic, more enthralled with being in the game, enjoying the game more. And you know, many times enjoying the game means that you go through things that are not necessarily of the light. And that's perfectly fine if that's what you want to experience. Enjoying the game, we want to clarify this. Enjoying the game is the opposite of what you and Clea were just talking about, the fact that you are so bored. We were talking about that before we started the session, and I refer to this in my first video from this particular session. So if you haven't checked it out, you can go back and watch it. So yes, are they enjoying the game? Yes, there's definitely re-energization of what's happened within the matrix. But at the same time, you were asking about becoming Neo. Is this making a difference? It is absolutely making a difference because we already said there's no separation. Everybody's observing. Everybody's feeling exactly what we're going through. This knowledge is going to spread so that all of us know that we are creating our reality. Now, does it mean that everyone on each planet is going, including planet Earth, whoever's left here, is going to know this at a conscious level? No. We want to repeat this because, again, we have to keep in mind the point of coming into the matrix is to believe that we are separate, to believe that there is something greater than us, normally source. And we say normally source in the sense that many planets believe the source is outside of them and that is greater than them. And they have to be reverent towards it, which of course we are reverent towards source because we're grateful. We're grateful to source for having given us this opportunity, this existence. At the same time, we are parts of source, and that's what we mean. It's like we're still going to pretend that we are separate. The idea of the matrix is based on separation. But again, it's this becoming Neo, this knowledge that we can change reality. It is percolating. Everything we do on this planet is percolating. And while many in the multiverse, and even us in the future, what we consider the future, maybe when we reincarnate somewhere, we're going to want to forget this, maybe for some time. The fact is, this information is available, is now available. And it's available at a conscious level. And this is how powerful this is. We already said what we are doing with New Earth and what we are doing with this takedown and this transition is that we have changed the rules within the matrix. We did not allow this information to be available within the matrix, to know that this was a matrix, first of all. You know, you hear people talk about it. They say this planet is a matrix here and there, but they didn't mean it the way we mean it. They're laughing here. They mention it as a negative thing, like it's a matrix as in we're being played somehow. We're being kept in a cage of some sort. When we say matrix, we mean it to say this entire reality is a playground. And so when you are in a playground, it's good to remind yourself it's something that we are going to find more fun in the future to use, which is this knowledge that oh, I can rearrange this game if I want to. Of course, you can only rearrange things for yourself. You would have to have agreement from everybody on a certain planet to rearrange things a certain way. But you see, what happens on other planets, the reason we've not had so many takedowns is that when the polarity starts becoming too imbalanced, they have been able to recalibrate. We're the ones here that were not able to do this. And so this knowledge is going to change the rules, whereas everyone everywhere is going to know that this is available. Lorrayne, thank you. How far into the process of becoming Neo are we? Have we started consciously realizing that we create our reality, or will it take the recall to finally get it? Will that even be sufficient for everyone to realize this fact, or will we still fight the concept and have to learn this on the earth? Many don't even want to remember their dreams and still look for intel and follow matrix spiritual beliefs based on our helplessness. Will this affect the timeline or our goals? Does everyone have to remember that we are Neo, or only a group like the 12,000 for us to feel ready to leave? And of course, I wanted to know this because I know that, well, I'm thinking we're supposed to know consciously that we change our reality, and yet I see many of us, including myself, I falter too, that are still going outside to hoping for things to happen as if we're not the ones making them happen. So now I'm like, okay, do we have to wait here until everybody's willing to do this work? Because I see people that really just don't even want to know what's happening, that we are doing this, which is totally and perfectly fine. And that's what the 25th tells us, that we're all doing the work in the background. But so now I'm wondering, I'm like, so consciously, how long is this going to take? So we're waiting for people, basically. All right, so here's the answer. Yeah, so no, it will not affect us. Everyone is learning this, except that not everyone wants to be fully aware of it at a 3D level. So as you all know, energy is indivisible. If you're working on something, Lorrayne, you're affecting everything. And therefore, the fact that there are several of you, including you and Clea, for example, who actually truly are learning this now, even at a conscious level, you remind yourself, you don't fall into a lot of, Clea calls them bad habits, like saying, oh, I hope this and I hope that, as if she's not part of the equation. This transformation, as subtle as it is happening. It is happening in the minds of many. Does it have to happen in the minds of all? No, it does not. Now, the fact is, it is happening behind the scenes, even at a conscious level. You just may not realize it. It's like when we talked about enlightenment. All of us, if you think back, have had moments of enlightenment, or what we consider enlightenment. Some longer and very discernible, and some that maybe were just a split second. But again, we're capable of everything. Same thing is happening with becoming Neo. There are moments, even if very, very brief for some people, where they realize, oh, I made that happen. Or look how interesting that happened. I really wanted that. They might not tell themselves what happened, but they realize, they're observing. They're like, wow, how interesting. So does it look the same for each one of you? No, it doesn't. Is everybody working on this? Yes, even if it might look like that's not the case on the surface. Now, does everyone, absolutely everyone, have to achieve the same level of conscious realization? No. Like the example you brought up about the dreams. There are people that don't want to remember their dreams yet because they don't want to know. In the same way, there are people that don't want to know that they're controlling reality. They still like to go to outside sources to get information, like, this person is doing this or this person is doing that, which is perfectly fine. Clea was just mentioning a little while ago before we started the session that she's actually envious, and we're laughing here, quote unquote envious, meaning she's happy for these people because they still find joy, even though it might seem dramatic, like, oh my gosh, I actually hope that doesn't happen. The truth is they have hope. They still find joy in thinking, in having hope that something outside of them is going to help them. So this is wonderful. It's better than, in a way, it feels better than saying, oh, if this is not happening, it's because I don't want it to happen, which becomes very difficult to handle this thought at a 3D level, where you're like, you and Clea were just talking about it when you said, it's tough to realize we are setting this up. We can't even complain about it, because as tedious as it is, I'm like, why am I still here, right? I'm still here though. And so is everybody going to have the level of conscious awareness, the same level of conscious awareness and realization? No, that's never going to happen. Every essence wants to explore things a little differently. This is the fun of being here. But is everybody working on the same lesson? And we don't mean lesson again. You know what we think of lessons? Experience, let's call it experience. Yes, it's happening. Do we need to be at a certain level? How are we doing? We're all moving forward. We're all working on it. It's percolating. Many of us have already absorbed a lot of it. So this work is going well. It's going to take the amount of time we said. We still believe that it's going to take, we're not giving you a timeline. We're referring to how long we believe or when we will feel like, oh, we learned this. We wanted to experience becoming Neo. We've learned this. Now we know. It's still going to take about the same amount of time that you guys had in mind when you started this project. And we're not just going to be held back by the fact that some people are not really wanting to realize this fully. Absolutely not. Every essence is just as free as it was. It doesn't have to be only the 12,000. But it can just be the 12,000. It really is a matter of, we just decided this is what we're going to do. And we think that in this amount of time, many of us will have understood most of it or different degrees of it. And by then, we think that we're going to be in a good spot where this information is encoded, like we said, to where we're going to remember it forever. And it's going to percolate at a conscious level when we need it. And therefore, it's good enough. We're not going to be here trying to become enlightened beings, you know. We know that you guys like to think of enlightened beings as being superior beings. We're not going to be here waiting for enlightenment on this planet. Lorrayne, thank you. Okay, you said that we're polarizing towards the light, and this world is much less polarized towards the dark than it used to be, much less. Can you please quantify where we were compared to where we are now with polarity in terms of percentages? Assuming that our balanced polarity is 50-50, because the dark still feels pretty dense here. Me. Yes, so we have reached, of course, this is all, we're going to attempt to answer your question in the terms that you established. But of course, this is not necessarily how we experience this at a higher self level. But if we were to quantify, we would say, again, assuming that polarity is 50-50, we already said that's not the case, there is a range. But assuming that polarity is 50-50, a balanced polarity is 50-50, we would say you reach peaks of 70 to 80% darkness here, believe it or not. You may say to yourself, oh no, I'm sure it was 100% or 95%. It could have been even worse. It really could have been. The fact is, even the dark have not, and we said this many times, have not enjoyed themselves. So for that reason, they have not done things, or we have not supported things, ideas that might have come up from time to time that would have made this an even darker reality. For example, like a nuclear attack on the planet, and then us having to deal with the aftermath of that. We not wanted that. So yes, about 70 to 80%. We've had peaks of darkness. We are now very close to reaching a balanced polarity. We are aware that many of you will not believe this, because again, what we see looks very much the same as it always has. The fact is the energy has shifted. If you go inside, as we always recommend you do, and you find your own answers, you will know. You will realize the truth of this. The energy does not feel the way it has for a long time before. Things felt like they were always getting worse and worse and worse. And of course, we got to the point of the pandemic, which seemed like the coup, the final coup. But things have been unraveling since, and the energy is much lighter. So we would say at this point, we're closer to bridging the gap, to getting into that balanced polarity range. We would say we're probably around 60% darkness, or even in the 50s now. So we truly are at an energetic level, truly are rebalancing things. We don't have time. We don't have interest. We're all tired of being here, as you guys were discussing just a little while ago. So we're not going to rebuild anything. And therefore, we're not going to see it in real life where you have these buildings of light, you know, like some people in New Age spirituality speak about these pyramids, these hospitals. There are now pyramids and they're made of light, and it's wonderful. It's actually healing. We're not going to experience any of that. And truthfully, why would we want that? Why would we even want hospitals, period? This is still a very 3D way of thinking. Again, we're just thinking, okay, we have this basis. How do we transform it into something acceptable? the truth is, the way we would see it here, or we are going to experience this, is that we discard all these bases. Why should we assume that people get sick or they need any kind of reattuning or whatever it is? This is not what we want anymore. Now, at a 3D level, in the 3D chambers, this is what they're experiencing. But again, it's a 3D experience. With the aliens, of course, they have similar things in terms of they might have the healing pods or the healing showers or whatever it is. But it's an energetic recalibration. It truly is a recalibration. We said many times before, you can do on your own. So you don't even need the shower or whatnot. It's just a shortcut. So we can believe that things are coming from the outside. They're technology-based, and that's great. We are not, for example, when we go to New Earth, we are not going to be interested in any of that. We're not going to need to go through a process, something that looks like an external process. So in that sense, we are, to answer your question and wrap this up, we're very close to what we would consider even balanced polarity right now. In terms of energy, it's not going to show up fully. We already said this, because in order for it to show up fully, we would have to go through a period of demolition, physical demolition, and that would not feel very good to us. We have gone through a lot. We are emotionally spent. And I have to say, I agree with this 100%. I don't want to really see any collapse to where our society is in upheaval. And I just want to be relaxed before I leave here and finally move on. So I don't know how you guys feel about this. In fact, I would love to hear what you think below in the comments. Lorrayne, thank you. Okay, how many essences are left on this planet at this time? And how much of the dark is still here? Are there any updates on the side of the dark or the recall? You know, they're calling about this. We're talking about this recall. How are we doing behind the scenes? And do we still plan for the recall to take about 7 months from September 2022 to April 2023? Me. So we said the recall, quote unquote, timeline is tied to our acknowledgement, conscious awareness that we are Neo, that we are making stuff happen. So we already said that that's kind of going as planned. So yes, right now we do expect, you expect that in about, by April, so in about 7 months of this process, you will be at a point where you will feel satisfied that it's okay. We can see enough now in reality, in 3D reality. We can see the manifestation of the reflection of what we've been working on, okay? Which again is just a signal. It's all it is. It signals everything that we made happen up to that point behind the scenes. So how much of the dark is left? Only about 1 to 2% of the dark is left at this point. There are very few of us left. We're about 25. They're saying 25 to 30 million left at this point. That's nothing. We couldn't even, there would be nobody around as we go out. There's really nobody, not many people left. In fact, a lot of people also on the team of the light have already left. And so really they're showing me like this barren desert. They're showing me the cities empty with like one person walking around on the street looking at the skyscrapers and they're all empty. A little bit like a lockdown feel to it. So yeah, we're wrapping up here. The fact is we're pretty much done here. So most people have already moved on, which I know is going through Clea's mind right now. It's like, why do we have to keep propping this up when everybody's gone? But we already said, because you are doing something right now that matters to you. And again, it won't be for much longer. I mean, it's not really a long time when you think of it, but it does feel, but this is also why, because it does feel from an emotional perspective, very jarring to see that this planet is empty. At the same time, this is why you're keeping everything in place, where it looks like you're meeting with friends and you're distracting yourself. None of your friends, and we are speaking to Clea specifically because she's been asking this every time she meets somebody. She goes, I wonder if they're still here. And the fact is, she knows right away. She knows they're not here. I'm just pretending. And they were laughing, which feels very strange to think that you're pretending seeing people around you because none of our friends are here anymore. So anyway, you know, we talked about the friends, the 3D friends that she had in this town, but also a lot of her friends around the world are already gone and been gone for a while. So we understand, and again, it's the emotional piece we talked about. This is why it is so important for us to keep this going. So for example, when you say things like, everything looks the same, for example, the medical industry is still doing whatever they have been doing. Clea has many, many, many friends who are nurses and doctors. If she wants to pretend that they're still here, What could they, from a 3D perspective, from a logical perspective, so that we maintain the show going? What if all of them said, oh, none of them are doctors anymore, all of them resigned? That would seem very strange, right? This is what we said. This is what we mean when we say it's you who want to keep the show going. So you need these people to continue doing what they were doing, because otherwise you wouldn't believe it. You wouldn't believe this is real, and you cannot handle it. You cannot emotionally handle the idea that everybody's gone. You already have trouble with this, even when we tell you about it, and you still have the ability to believe, but look, they're all around me. And even then, you're emotional. So this is why we're telling you, you've looked at all the options and kept the one that seemed the least problematic or the most doable, the one that you could deal with. So a lot of us, for example, we talked about people who are still going to the outside to get, for example, information online from channels telling them things. These people are gone. These things are not, the people are not there anymore either. So we're getting information from NPCs. There's no judgment. We are saying that we are keeping this in place to look this way so we can comfort ourselves while we're still here. That's all we're doing. Thank you so much for watching, as always, and take care, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye-bye.